From California to Chicago to Texas and Florida, today across the country, long lines at Chick-fil-A's. Why? Supporters of the fast food chain are calling today Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. They're backing the company's president, who is under fire for his public opposition to gay marriage. The mayors of Chicago, San Francisco, and Boston telling Chick-fil-A that it is not welcome in their cities. Boston Herald Deputy Business Editor Greg Turner joins us. Nice to see you, Greg.
Thank you for having me, Greta.
Greg, first I want to start a little bit. I want to get some idea about Chick-fil-A. Is it privately held? How big is it? Tell me a little bit about it.
It's a pretty big company. They have 1,600 restaurants, mostly across the south of the United States. They have started up in Atlanta in 1967. The family-owned restaurant dates back before that under another name, but they're pretty sizable fast food chicken company.
And I assume the revenues are quite giant with a company that big?
Yes, somewhere around $4 billion last year, so they do pretty well.
Is it public? I forgot if you answered. Is it publicly owned or privately owned?
It's a family business, has been all along.
And who's the owner right now? Is a man named Dan Cathy?
Yes,
the CEO?
Dan Cathy. Yeah, a lot more people know about him than they probably used to within the last few weeks. He's the president. He's the son of the original founder, Truett Cathy. And it's a strong Southern Baptist family, and as many people know, they wear their values on their sleeve and have been speaking out lately and gathered a lot of support because of that.
When he made his statement about marriage, was he doing it in the context of a sort of a personal event, or was he doing it on behalf of the corporation?
It depends on how you read into it. I mean, he stands for the corporation. He was speaking as the president of the company to, I think it was the Baptist Press, and it was sort of the first time that he had publicly come out and spoken about his positions on family values. And you know, a lot of people didn't agree with his views on gay marriage. Many people did, obviously.
I know that Chick-fil-A, that it's been a company that has, with the CEO, has been devoted to his religious principles. I mean, I've been in airports hungry on a Sunday, and you can't, and Chick-fil-A isn't open because they're not open on Sundays. I'm curious whether or not, besides his statement, has he been at all active in anything that would be offensive to gay citizens?
It's hard to say. I think he's had some statements here, and there's been some financial support for anti-gay groups, you know, along the way, and that's what sort of brought out the gay and lesbian community against the company. And that's what
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just kidding. That's what prompted the mayor of Boston up here, where I am, to speak out against that and try to stop them from coming to Boston.
I'm trying to understand whether his statement is any different from, let's say, a gay CEO of a company who would be, promoting gay marriage. If there's, if it's sort of, is it functionally equivalent?
I think so. I think a lot of people would think so, and that's why they seem to be getting a lot of support today, with thousands of people lining up all across the country at the restaurants to show their support and then have some delicious lunch at the same time.
Any assessment on how much their revenues jumped today out of the ordinary as a result of this?
There's no way to tell because that's obviously not disclosed by the company. But we had a reporter, Aaron Smith, from the Herald at the local Chick-fil-A. There's one outside of Boston here, and there were reports of the business being up 150%, 200%. There was a customer who came from a nearby town who was a kosher vegetarian but wanted to be there and ordered the fruit salad in support of it today, not even getting the chicken.
It's hard to assess whether people are there for freedom of speech or whether people are there because they're opposed to gay marriage. I mean, how do we know?
It seems to be more free speech when you talk to people about it, especially around here, because that's people were reacting to the mayor of Boston putting his, opposing the chain coming into Boston in particular.
Has he backed off that? By the way, I see his July 20th letter. I've got that in which he wrote Dan Cathy, but has he backed off that? He says, he urges him basically not to locate a Chick-fil-A in Boston. Has the mayor now backed off that?
Well, yeah, when the Boston Hill broke the story, he started out by saying Chick-fil-A does not belong in Boston, and he told us that he would, that the chain would find it very difficult to get whatever license they would need in the city, and that drew some negative reactions in the private sector, just as a business issue. And a week later, he did soften his stance and told us that he wouldn't actively oppose them trying to open up, you know, in a private deal. That's their right, but he maintained his opposition to Dan Cathy and stood by his letter to the head of the company.
And I take it that Dan Cathy has not changed his statement either.
No, the company hasn't said too much publicly since issuing a statement stressing that, you know, their restaurants don't discriminate in their service at all to people. And, you know, it's sort of kind of carried on in social media, people passing around the mayor's letter. It's really kind of created a groundswell. And then with Mike Huckabee, you know, calling for today's Appreciation Day on the other side of the issue.
Is this over, or is this going to go on? Have you figured that one out?
It's amazing how long it has gone on, and it's obviously maybe going to end up being good for business for Chick-fil-A because maybe they're having more customers show up than. But you know, it's hard to tell how long this will go on. It's interesting.
Indeed, it is. Greg, thank you.
Thank you.